Hi guys, welcome back. So we've had the England squad out. I tried to do my live reaction to it and I've had more time to think about it now. So I wanted to come back and I'm joined by two of the guys from Sports News Blitz, the sponsor of this video. And you might see them more on this channel as the time comes. Two excellent rugby guys here. We've got Charlie and we've got Barnaby. And the thing I missed in my live reaction, which was quite funny, I thought, is I missed that Itoje was captain. I had to put it in captions at the end. So let's start there. What are your thoughts? Is this a good move?
Well, firstly, Rich, I can't believe you absolutely missed that. I mean, there were about three or four different England posts saying Maro is captain. He's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
new dawn. It's a new age. And to be honest, I'm really excited. I mean, he's captain for Saracens at the beginning of the year. That was also quite symbolic with Farrell leaving. I think it's really exciting because, as you mentioned in your video, it means we've got or most likely to have a player playing 80 minutes
Yeah.
throughout, as opposed to Jamie George coming off around 50, 55 minutes and then having a massive amount of vice captains, as which Borthwick likes to normally name.
What are there, Charlie? Are there any downsides to this then?
Um, I think it's a very positive move, to be honest. I don't think there's too many downsides because I think he's sort of a lead from example type player. Um, you know, so I don't personally see much wrong with it, and I can't really criticize it. In truth, I think it's probably the best choice of what we've got, really.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll be a bit devil's advocate here. In my video picking the squad I wanted, I'd gone like really radical and almost restarted with Tom Willis out of the blue as the captain. And actually written that before Delalio said it. But anyway, there we go. I think it's a good move, yeah. And I think Itoje is ready to be a very good captain. I've got no doubt about that. The slight issue is it doesn't quite solve the problem where is Jamie George going to be our best hooker going forward? So, okay, yeah, we can pick someone else now, but then is Maro Itoje actually undroppable? I mean, I'd quite like to see a Chesham and a Martin starting at some point as well. So I don't know. I like it, but and I think maybe as an interim, it's a good shout. I don't know if it's actually long term or not, but like you say, 80 minutes from your captain, yeah, that's pretty good. So okay, but pop in the comments below, guys. What do you think about that? A Toady as captain, is it long term, or do you think someone else might come over the top of him? So open it up to the floor, then, guys. What are your overall feelings, like your actual emotions after seeing this squad for the first time?
Well, personally, I would say I'm overall more happy with the squad than I am not. I mean, I think with every squad, every England fan in one way or another will have like, oh, this player should be in or that player should be in. I mean, the only one that stands out for me, to be honest, is I think Rafi Quirk deserves to be in there. He's had a horrid time with injuries over the last 3 seasons or so since he first got capped, I believe 2 or 3 years ago. He was honestly instrumental in that 38-0 thrashing of Bristol, however many weeks ago. And
That was amazing.
not to say that performance alone deserved him to be in that squad, but since then he's been starting more regularly. He's really taken that nine shirt back for sale. You can see how much the team. He's a really good blend of just that nippy Randall nine and that game control of what Ben Youngs used to give. I used to think. I
Yeah.
mean, Mitchell is basically the heir apparent to that now, but I think Quirk should be that understudy.
Quirk, I think if he'd had a couple more games, that's the thing for me. I'm not
Mm,
sure. What about you,
mm.
Charlie? What do you reckon?
Well, Gus Wall was starting over him for until pretty recently, I'd say. I mean, obviously,
Mm.
injuries have played a factor in that, but I think sort of the start of the season, I'd have put War as the starter for Sale at nine, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can get behind that.
yeah. I mean, I'm a Quirk man. I think even though Ward's got the experience and the game control, I think Quirk's got such a higher ceiling. Kind of my mantra's
Mm,
been
mm.
recently is, if someone's not quite there yet, you stick with the talent because you could go higher than you are at the moment. So I think Quirk, you know, he's unlucky, but I still think he hadn't had that bulk of evidence. The guy I was worried, was hoping would be in there, I think, is Ben Spencer. I think he's been phenomenal. What do you guys reckon on that?
Yeah, I'd have had him in there as well. To be honest, I'd have had a Mitchell Spencer Quirk combo. Obviously, Mitchell, I mean, at the World Cup and all of last season, really is head and shoulders above all the other nines, both capped and uncapped in England right now. But I'd have had a combo of some kind. So Spencer and Quirk basically fighting it out and training to see who that impact player was going to be.
But
Yeah.
I'd say Spencer's probably, you say about Rappy Quirk being one for kind of the future and for his potential, but Spencer's kind of, I don't see much of a future for him in general, really. He's obviously a very good player, but with the new rule changes, I think his sort of mould is kind of going to be phased out a little bit more.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I mean, I'm just not sure it's the strongest position for us at scrum half. I mean, Van Poortvliet and Randall have just got a few reservations at the top level. Even Mitchell, I think, is good, but and the other weak area I see is the centres. I think it's the weakest centre four we've probably actually seen for quite a few years. Tell me I'm wrong. Make me more optimistic about these centres.
Ooh, I'll do my best. I mean, I'm a huge Ollie Lawrence fan. I mean, I've watched your videos before, Rich. I slightly disagree with you on that. Not that his best position is 13, but I think it just doesn't matter where you play him. Personally, I think you just get him on the pitch, whether it's
Fair
12,
enough.
whether it's
Yep.
13. He hits those lines. He's very good on the outside, as you've noted many times, but he's also just as good as punching those holes. So 12 or 13, it doesn't matter. But no, I mean, looking at it, I mean, it is definitely weak. I mean, uncapped Oscar Beard. He's got great potential again, high ceiling. Dingwall, we saw in the Six Nations last year. Did he contribute much? Did he not? Personally, I don't think so. So I think I personally would have wanted to have seen Luke North more in there. He's been playing 12 consistently for Quins recently. I mean, England, let's be honest, for the last 10 plus years, if Manu Tuolangi's been injured or Owen Farrell's not playing there, centres have been a real difficult position. So this isn't a new problem. And arguably, this could be not just a criticism of Borthwick's selection, but a criticism of Eddie Jones's selection before as well. And even, if you really want to go far back, Stuart Lancaster.
One thing I'd say about Dingwall is that he's not really been given a proper chance. So I think if he gets given a run of games, he could be sort of more hungry than the other players, if you will, and kind of that could positively impact him. I don't think he will start, but if he does and if he gets a run of games, I think that could benefit England.
I think you're right, Charlie. Dingwall, he's a good player. And if he gets a chance, I'm sure he'll do loads of great stuff. The thing is, I think at the bottom line with all these international squads, if you want to be a top team, are you going to win a World Cup, a Grand Slam with Fraser Dingwall at 12? And my answer is probably not. Probably not. As much as I like the guy, Lawrence, I agree, he's got a lot better. His defence has improved an awful lot. He's not perfect, but you need a skill guy with him. You need someone who can do stuff. And I think there's, a couple of options there that they've really dropped the ball on, and that's Luke Northmore, like you say, and Max Ajomu. I know Ajomu's only come back for 2 or 3 games, whatever it is, but that pairing, Ajomo-Lawrence, you could just slot it straight into England, give it 2 or 3 years. That looks special to me. That could be special, and that's where I'm worried we haven't got enough special in there.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, there's a reason they're top of the table right now, isn't there?
Absolutely. Yeah, they've got a South African tight
head.
Okay, so go on then. Let's go into the back row then. Hill. Ted Hill is in from Bath. Do you like the mix of that back row? Is that the best one you think they could have picked?
I think so. I think it's what we've all been crying out for. Simple, short answer. I think yes, basically.
No one missing for you, Charlie?
No, I don't think so. Out of what we've got available, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd echo that as well, to be fair. I think, to be honest, watching your videos last year, Rich, I was calling for Ted Hill even back then, to be honest, and he obviously didn't get picked at all last year, so I'm absolutely chuffed for him to be in. It's very well balanced. You can name 2 6s, 2 7s, 2 8s in there, and then there's an extra as well, whoever that may be, is from what I can see. I know he's injured after watching your video as well, but Underhill, he's just an absolute animal at test match level. The hits he puts in, the tackles he makes, his ball carrying's really improved as well. I remember him making a good break for against Ireland last year, which led to the Furbank try as well. So bar his injury, I can't think of anyone else really, unless you wanted to, again, go with the talent and ceiling argument. We've seen Don Brandt at international level for about 2 years now. Is he up to the scratch? I mean, I think there's use for him. But like you said, I mean, Guy Pepper's been playing really well. Henry Pollock, although could he be playing in the under-20s, or are they just trying to hold him back until the summer? But overall, I'd probably agree, to be honest. There's no glaring omissions, I'd say.
So the one question I had there with Tom Curry is, if he wasn't on a hybrid contract, would he be in the squad on form? I'm not sure. And then, yes, they've got an extra back row there, but why is the extra back row a number 8? Because you've got Don Brandt, Earl, Tom Willis, who are all number 8s, and that's a bit weird. Plus, Ted Hill can play number 8, and Curry's played there before. Cunningham South plays a number 8. So I don't quite get it. Unless I've put someone in the wrong category, maybe they're seeing Ted Hill as a hybrid second row, back row. So, you know, it's interesting. I wouldn't say it's perfect. If you had Underhill there, he'd be in there for me for Tom Curry probably. But I don't know. But anyway, it's a good position. It's a stronger position than the other positions. Anything else from the other squad that we haven't looked at here? So we got wings, fullbacks, front row, second row. Anybody want to go for it?
I mean, fullback, I'm not sure about Freddie Stewart, I'll be honest. I think he's very good, but having him as the only out-and-out fullback, I think is risky. When I say I'm not sure about him, I'm not sure about him as the only out-and-out fullback.
Well, I'm pretty sure Elliot Daly's in there as the other fullback, and both of them.
He would be. He would be.
Yeah, but I wouldn't describe him as out and out.
He can play lots of, but he's been playing fullback for Saracen, so that's why I'm saying that.
Yeah, I was going to say, but then there are a lot of players who can play fullback, but not who are natural. So
I think with Freddie Stewart is that, despite him only being like 24, he feels like he's been around for ages, and it feels like he's we know what we get from him. We know his strengths, we know his weaknesses. Like, if you're in a rainy day up in Murrayfield, it doesn't matter what he's going to do, he's still going to take every high ball. So that's a strength of his. A weakness of his, which, Rich, you know quite a lot, and I think it's fair in your criticism, is that he's not the quickest. He can get beaten on the turn quite easily. And, is he that lights out? Is he exciting? Let's be honest. I mean, that's why Borthwick, halfway through the Six Nations last year, brought in Fullback to get more creativity and lead to more tries. And, he's basically just, personally how I see, he's just Mike Brown reincarnated. You know what you get. He's good. He's a solid player, but is he that X factor you need to get over the line from the back three players?
Yeah, Freddie Stewart is in fantastic form. He is playing as well as he can play. He's hitting lines. He's trying his hardest. That's not a problem. The problem is, it's just weird that Borthwick had gone with George Fullback, completely different type of fullback. Now Fullback's out, and okay, Stewart's in, but his second fullback isn't even a super quick counter-attacker. It's just so. That's the thing with Borthwick. I just don't quite get it. It looks like he's going more counter-attacking, where you go, okay, you bring in Joe Carpenter, George Hendy, maybe Josh Hodge, someone like that, alongside Stewart, maybe if you had to take Stewart. But why Daly? And some of the comments were saying, is this because Borthwick is only focusing on keeping his job, on doing okay and keeping his job? Is it really looking towards the future? I don't know. I didn't like that selection at all there of Stewart.
What I will say on that, Rich, though, is that I think this might be a bit of a long shot because he's not been in too many of Borthwick squads. But Max Malin started this season with an absolute bang. Was he Player of the Month in October? Was he back to back? I can't remember, but he was playing lights out rugby for Bristol. Gets an ACL injury, he's out for the whole season. So whilst I'm not saying he would have been the starting 15, he would have been a similar profile to George Fullback. And obviously, you play the hand you're dealt with regards to injuries and who's available and who's not. But I think it just led to Borthwick being slightly hamstrung. I mean, you did mention Joe Carpenter, who again, counter-attacking, creative fullback, who's been playing really well for Sale. But I think in this situation, he just, again, like you said, went for his tried and trusted, knows what he what he gives. But I think there definitely would have been opportunity for Max Malins had he been available.
Yeah, he's another player, isn't it? It's just that back line. I just think if he'd gone for it a bit more and gone, say, George, who am I trying to say here? Not Furbank.
Hendy?
George Hendy, yeah. George Hendy. He'd gone a bit bolder in the centres with an Ajomo and Northmore and maybe a Quirk at scrum half. Then you're looking at that squad and you're going, this could go places. This is a squad that could go places. It's still a squad I think that could do well, but I'm not sure it's getting to the top, and I'm not sure it's quite exciting the public. And I think that's part of it. You want to go to an England game and go, I can't wait to see X, Y, or Z. And it's not quite there for me. Anyway, rant over. Anything else about that front five there? Because we haven't mentioned them.
I think Cowan-Dickie, for years, he was injured, wasn't he? Like, he missed the World Cup. He was having horrible injury problems. So it's nice to see him in there again. I mean, last year, arguably, I'd have argued he wouldn't have been included on form, but he was, or in the Autumn Nations, whenever it was, he was last in the squad. So I think it's good. I mean, Theo Dan has done a really good job both at club and country when he's played, but I think he's in there to now learn off of those two, who are both British and Irish Lions. I mean, that's very topical with this coming up this year as well. So I think the hookers, I mean, there's an argument to be made for Gabriel Ogray and Curtis Langdon. Langdon, part of that title-winning team for Northampton last year, was unbelievable. And then Ogray's been arguably one of the form hookers this year as well. So you can make cases for them, but personally, I don't think they're strong enough to displace any of those three, both on form and with credit in the bank. I'm not sure about you guys.
Don't know, Charlie,
I'd agree. I'd echo that sentiment, to be honest. I'd personally start Cowan-Dickie at hooker, but I'm not sure if that's a little bit of bias from me.
Well, maybe he will. He's dropped George as captain. Yeah. Maybe he wants to do that.
Yeah, because I do watch Sale quite a lot, obviously being based up here, so maybe that's a bit of kind of personal bias, but I'd start Cowan-Dickie.
Maybe, but I'd definitely get behind you on that, Charlie, just because I love Jamie George. I love the service he's done for England, both, as captain and not as captain. It's one of those things. I mean, you saw in the autumn when Luke Cowan-Dickie comes on, he's just such a destructive carrier, tackler, everything about him. Like, you look on the name, you can look at any players and make any arguments, but you look at players like Cowan-Dickie, or they're like, ooh, do I really want to be tackling him, or would I rather be tackling Jamie George?
Yeah.
It's that fear factor is what I think it is as well. So,
okay.
There's arguments for both, but yeah.
All right, let's finish it up with the question then. We'll just go through it. I'm going to drop this on you. Starting 15s from this squad. I know it's a 23-man game, but let's just go nice and simple. Starting 15s. I'll give you a little bit of thinking time, because I'll go with mine first then. So on the spot, here we go. I would start from this lot. Ellis Genge, Theo Dan, and Will Stewart. Pocket for Dura on the bench. I know I'm not meant to pick them, but got to say that. Itoje with Chesham. I think they're a much better partnership than Itoje and Martin. If Chesham can get fit. At 6, Ted Hill, of course. I think he's the perfect all-rounder. Ben Earl, I'll give it a go at 7. Can miss some tackles, I know, but he's so explosive in attack. Tom Willis starting at 8 all day long. Mitchell at 9. Because they haven't given me a fullback, I'm going to go Finn Smith at 10 to literally work the magic. Marcus Smith goes to fullback then. Centres, again, they haven't given me an awful lot to go with. So I'd probably go with Lawrence at 12, Beard at 13 to give at least some speed and power in there. And then the speed of Slightholme if he's fit, if not Murley. And then Roebuck, the height on the other wing, who I think is in better form than Freeman. So that's my 15.
To be fair, Rich, I think we're on fairly similar pages. I think.
Now, who would you change then?
I'll go for props again. I go Genge. I go Cowan-Dickie, to be honest. Like I said, he is just that destructive player. And Will Stewart, I definitely had doubts over the last few years, but autumn he really came up good.
Yep.
Itoje and Chesham, I agree with, to be honest. Martin, I mean, if we're supposed to be saying bench players again with that fear factor, Martin coming off the bench at 60 minutes just to clatter opponents is not what you want to hear as Ireland on the first day of the Six Nations. Back row again, Ted Hill, long overdue, get him in there. Again, shift Earl over to 7. Personally, I think it's his best position. You'll always get that ball carrying and explosiveness from him. So similar to Lawrence, it doesn't matter what number he's wearing on his back, just get him in that team. And then Tom Willis, that is, sorry, not Tom Curry, goodness, not at 8. Tom Willis, because he's, again, form destructive. 9-10. Personally, I'm surprised you put Smith at fullback. I understand why. I just think
it's only because they haven't given me any fullbacks.
Yeah, as I'll make the point in a minute, I think there is still a case for. I think you've got to play your best players in their best position, and Marcus Smith personally is just the best 10 in England right now on form and credit in the bank as well. So I go Mitchell, Marcus Smith at 9-10. Centres, I'd echo you as well, to be honest, Rich. Lawrence at 12, arguably, like you said, he might be 13, but punch those lines right on the outside. And then Beard, let's just give him a go. He's been in 2 or 3 squads now. Attack and defence, he seems very solid for Harlequin. So, you know, if you, it's like go hard or go home, I think. Wings, I think wings. I want my wingers to be exciting. I mean, I know there's a case for Freeman and Roebuck, and they've been on great form, but they don't excite me, and they don't have that X factor. Whereas I think Slightholme and Murley are just like, I think they're just as close as. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the world champions, South Africa, they've got Colby and Arendse. I mean, obviously, they're not just speedsters. They're some of the best players in the world, but I think that's as close as you get to it. And then, to be honest, I still think there is a place for Stewart with those 2 speedsters on the wing to balance everything out and just take those high balls just so long as he, like I said, I know he's a known commodity at this point, but it just balances out quite nicely, I think, if you just put Stewart in there as well, if you've got Slightholme on one wing and Murley on the other.
Okay, so Charlie, any differences? You don't have to name the whole lot. Then, are you picking anybody different from what we've gone for?
I'm surprised neither of you have put Asher Opoku as a starter. I'm still not entirely convinced on his best position, but I think he has to start. Okay. And obviously his versatility, he can play on either side. So I think put him on either side. I'd possibly go instead of Genge, to be honest. I don't think
it's a great shout.
Wow, yeah.
It's just the fact they've kind of picked him here as a tight head with a 3 and 3, but look, I think you could talk me around to that, Charlie. Opoku for Jaw starting tight head with Genge, loose head with Genge coming on. I'd go for that, yeah. Yeah,
and then as said earlier, I'd start Cowan Dickey. Who else would be different from what's been said? I mean, after kind of, I wouldn't say slating him, but I'd start Freddie Stewart, to be honest, because he's the only native fullback. I'd put Marcus Smith at 10. Bar that, on the wings, I'd start Tom Roebuck, and I think Caden Murley as well, because I think they're quite different. So I think it's a bit of variation. Roebuck, obviously, with his aerial threat is always going to be a danger, especially from Marcus Smith's kicks. So I think that could be a good combo. So yeah, bar that, about the same. Yeah. Okay, so there it is. Those are our teams, guys. That's what we think we'd like to see from this squad. Let us know what you think about that squad. Is it one you're going to be excited to watch? Anyway, guys, Charlie, thank you very much. Thank you.
Barnaby, thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, Rich.
And we'll catch you next time.